As Lalitamba and Lord Kameshwar exchanged divine smiles, Mahaganesh was born, a mighty elephant-headed warrior with 10 arms, each holding a powerful weapon. Hence she is called Kameshwar Mukhaloka Kalpita Shri Ganeshwara, the one who created Shri Ganesh by simply looking at the face of Lord Kameshwar. Lalitamba then ordered him to destroy the yantra. Mahaganesh quickly found the yantra and crushed it with his trunk, thus freeing the Shakti warriors from their state of hypnosis. The re-energized Shakti army roared back to life and prepared for battle. Mahaganesh also created an army of warrior ganas with elephant heads just like himself, who overwhelmed the Asura forces. Vishukra, stunned at his yantra's failure, sent Gajasur with 7 Akshohinis, but Mahaganesh's troops annihilated them. Realizing his defeat, Vishukra fled the battlefield, while Gajasur was slain by Mahaganesh. Pleased with her son's victory, Lalitamba granted him a boon that henceforth no prayer or endeavour would succeed unless Shri Ganesh was first invoked and worshipped, thus giving her the name Mahaganesh Nirbhinna Vigna Yantra Praharshita, the one who was pleased when Mahaganesh diffused the Vigna Yantra. Later that day, Vishukra and Vishang returned back to the battlefield with a massive army of 400 Akshohinis, along with the mighty nephews of Bhandasur. Devi Mantrini rode her Geya Chakra chariot and Devi Dandini rode her Kiri Chakra chariot. It was a fierce battle, which ended with Devi Mantrini slaying Vishukra and Devi Dandini slaying Vishang. This pleased Lalitamba. Hence she is called Mantrinyamba Virachita Vishanga Vadatoshita, the one who was pleased when Devi Mantrini slayed Vishanga. She is also called Vishukra Prana Harana Varahi Viryanandita, the one who was pleased when Devi Varahi slayed Vishukra. When Bhandasur heard that his brothers and nephews had fallen like his 30 sons and commanders, he was overcome with despair. He roared and ordered the armies to prepare for war. Armored and ready, he twanged his bowstring so fiercely that the 3 worlds trembled. Over 2,000 Akshohinis marched towards the battlefield. Bhandasur rode a chariot drawn by lions, wielding a dagger as deadly as time itself. His army was so vast that it filled the land and sky and thundered towards Lalitamba's camp. Knowing no one else could face Bhandasur, Lalitambika herself rode into battle on her radiant Shri Chakra chariot, accompanied by Devi Mantrini, Devi Dandini and her Shakti armies. Bells rang, divine drums echoed, and celestial flowers rained down, and other such auspicious signs started to appear before the Shakti armies. While the Asuras saw many inauspicious signs such as blood rain, howling jackals, and bones falling in their midst. But Bhandasur, who was blind by arrogance, ignored these signs and ordered an all-out attack. His army surged like a tidal wave, but the Shakti warriors fought with unmatched valor, cutting down wave after wave of Asuras. Blood flowed in rivers, drenching the earth and the sky. As the 4th day of war advanced, a fierce exchange of astras and shastras began. Bhandasur, full of pride and anger from his sorrow and loss, burned with ego of his strength and power. He looked fierce and unstoppable. On the other side, Lalitamba stood calm and smiling. Bhandasur launched the Pashandastra, which caused great confusion about dharma. Lalitamba used the Gayatri Astra and cut it. Bhanda used the Andhakastra to blind the Shaktis, but Lalitamba cut it down with the Chakshushmati Astra, which restored sight. Then Bhanda attacked with the Shakti Nashak Astra, which caused impotency, but Lalitamba countered it with the Vishwa Vasu Astra, which restored fertility. When he sent the deadly Antakastra, which caused untimely death, Lalitamba neutralized it with the Mahamrityunjay Astra, which empowered the Shakti warriors to conquer untimely death. Bhanda then released the Sarva Smruti Nashaka Astra that caused forgetfulness in the warrior woman, but Lalitamba destroyed it with the Shruti Dharana Astra, which manifested in them the power to memorize even the Vedas. Bhanda used the Bhaya Astra that caused fear in the woman. Lalitamba countered it with the Abhayankara Indra Astra, which manifested great fearlessness in them. When Bhandasur released the Maharog Astra, which caused dreadful diseases in the Shakti army, Lalitamba used the Namatraya Astra, which produced three deities, Achyuta, Ananta and Govinda. They used their powerful Hunkar sound and removed all traces of diseases. Bhanda next launched the Ayur Nashak Astra, which shortened life, but Lalitamba countered it with the Kala Sankarshani Astra, which consumed death. Now burning with fury, Bhandasur released the terrible Maha-Asur Astra. From it emerged thousands of giant and terrifying demon lords such as Madhu, Kaitaba, Mahishasura, Dhumra Lochana, Chanda, Munda, Chikshura, Chamara, Raktabij, Shumbha, Nishumbha, Kalakeya and Dhumra. Armed with fearsome weapons, they attacked Lalitamba's Shakti forces. The brave Shakti warriors, unable to bear their torment, cried out to their queen for help. Lalitamba furrowed her brows in anger and released a powerful Hunkar roar. From it emerged Devi Durga, formed from the combined energy of the Trimurtis and all the gods. She held divine weapons such as the trident, spear, discus, conch, bow, arrows, and many others, and shone brighter than 1,000 suns. Riding a mighty lion and followed by her forces, she entered the battlefield and destroyed all the demon lords, just as described in the Durga Saptashati. After completing her mission, Durga Devi bowed to Lalitamba and returned to her own realm. Not giving up, Bhanda used the Mukha Astra to silence his enemies, but Lalitamba, smiling calmly, destroyed it with the Vagvadini Astra, which restored speech and clarity. Then, Bhandasur began recreating powerful demons from past cosmic cycles, for which Shri Vishnu had to take his 10 avatars. He summoned the demon Somakasur and others who were known for stealing the 4 Vedas. In response, Devi created the Matsya avatar of Shri Vishnu from the nail of her right thumb, which defeated the Asuras. Bhanda then used the Arnavastra, which caused a massive ocean to flood the battlefield. Lalitamba responded by creating Adi Kurma avatar from her right index fingernail. He expanded his form, lifted the Shakti warriors from the water and drank the ocean dry. Next, Bhanda released the Hiranyaksha Astra, creating many Hiranyakshas armed with heavy clubs. To stop them, Lalitamba created the radiant and indestructible Adi Varaha avatar from her right middle fingernail. He fought and destroyed all the Hiranyakshas. Enraged that his every attack was being defeated, Bhanda furrowed his brows again, and this time crores of Hiranyakashipus were born, attacking the Shakti warriors as if they were all Prahlads. In response, from her right ring fingernail, Lalitamba created thousands of Narasimha avatars, who swiftly destroyed all the Hiranyakashipus. Bhanda then released the Balindra Astra, which produced several Balis one after the other. In response, Lalitamba produced countless Vaman avatars from the little finger of her right hand, which tied up all the Balis with nooses. Bhandasur then continued to create crores of Asura enemies of the various incarnations of Shri Vishnu, such as Sahasrarjun, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Meghnad, Kansa, Shishupal, Chanur, Dantavakra, Banasura, Poundraka, Rumaka, Putana, and many others. While Lalitamba produced the remaining incarnations of Shri Vishnu, one from each finger of her left hand, such as Parshuram, Shri Rama and Lakshmana, Shri Krishna, Shri Balarama, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and others who defeated and destroyed all the Asuras. Hence she is called Karanguli Nakhotpanna Narayana Dashakriti, meaning the one who produced from her fingernails the 10 incarnations of Narayana. These incarnations then did namaskar to Lalitamba and returned to Vaikuntha. Bhandasur then used a powerful weapon called the Mahamohanastra, which caused the armies of the Shaktis to faint and lose consciousness. To stop its effects, Lalitamba released the Shambhavastra, which brought her troops back to normal. By now, the sun was setting, and the fourth and final day of the battle was almost complete. Without wasting any time, Lalitamba went on the attack, determined to end Bhandasur and his forces before he could try using any more dangerous weapons. She launched the Narayanastra, followed by the Pashupatastra, which destroyed all the Akshohini armies, chiefs and relatives of Bhandasur. Finally, Lalitamba used the Kameshwar astra, which ended Bhandasur. From her eyes burst out the flames of Kalagni, which burned down the city of Bhandasur along with its inhabitants. The three worlds rejoiced. Thus ended the life of Bhandasur, who had once risen from the ashes of Kamadeva. The warrior woman celebrated by singing songs of victory and dancing in joy. The demigods showered flowers from the skies. After the battle, the demigods prayed to Lalitamba and asked her to bring Kamadeva back to life, who had been burnt to ashes earlier by Lord Shiva. His wife Rati was heartbroken and suffering. The demigods explained that only Kamadeva could help Devi Parvati and Lord Shiva unite, and the son born to them could defeat the demon Tarkasur. Moved by their prayers and Rati's sorrow, Devi Lalita looked at Lord Kameshwar, and through their loving glances, Kamadeva was reborn. Hence she is called Haranetragani Sandagda Kama Sanjeevani Aushadhi, meaning the one who is Sanjeevani, the herb of resurrection, to Kamadeva, who had been reduced to ashes by the fire of Lord Shiva's third eye. Kamadeva was now even more powerful and radiant than before, but this time he was without a body. Only Devi Rati could see him. To everyone else, he remained invisible. Both Kamdeva and Rati Devi were overjoyed, their hearts filled with immense gratitude towards Lalitamba. Lalitamba blessed them, saying, "Go and once again strike Lord Shiva with your arrow of love. This time, victory shall be yours." Obeying her divine command, Kamdeva bowed before the goddess and set out immediately. Along with Rati and his dear friend Vasant, he returned to Sthanavashram to complete his unfinished mission. There, Lord Shiva was deep in meditation. Kamadeva prayed to Lalitamba in his heart and released his arrow of love. As soon as the arrow struck him, the calm heart of Lord Shiva was stirred with love for Devi Parvati. At the same time, Devi Parvati too was filled with deep longing for her Lord. Following her father Himalaya's guidance, she began a great penance to win Lord Shiva's heart. Pleased by her devotion, Lord Shiva appeared before her and accepted her as his divine consort. Their sacred marriage took place in the presence of all the gods, sages, and the guardians of the worlds. Devi Parvati then created Lord Ganesh, who became the leader of all the Ganas. Lord Kartikeya too was born to Shiva Parvati, who led the army of the gods to defeat the demon Tarkasur, restoring peace and harmony in Swargalok. Thus, Kamadeva's great mission to unite Lord Shiva and Devi Parvati was finally fulfilled. After accomplishing his divine purpose, Kamadeva returned to Lalitamba. Her abode is on the central peak of Mount Meru. Hence she is known as Sumeru Madhya Shringastha, she who dwells on the central summit of Mount Meru. Atop this sacred peak is her glorious city called Srinagar, which is why she is also known as Shriman Nagara Nayika, the Queen of Srinagar. In this city, with her, reside 64 crore yoginis, ever engaged in her service, eternally meditating upon her. Thus she is called Mahachatushashti Koti Yogini Gana Sevita, meaning the one who is served by 64 crore yoginis. In the midst of this divine city lies a great ocean of nectar. Hence she is called Sudha Sagara Madhyastha, she who abides in the middle of the ocean of nectar. At the center of this ocean is an island made of precious stones, adorned with Kadamba trees, giving her the name Kadamba Vanavasini, she who resides in the Kadamba forest. Within this forest stands a splendid mansion made of wish-fulfilling Chintamani gems, where she resides. Hence she is called Chintamani Grihantastha, she who dwells within the Chintamani palace. There she resides with Lord Kameshwar upon a magnificent throne, hence the name Srimad Simhasaneshwari, she who is the queen of the most glorious throne. From here, she rules over every being, hence she is called Shri Maharadni, the Empress of the universe. This place is located nowhere else but in our Sahasrar Chakra, which can be reached only through the effortless and spontaneous union with Adi Shakti, also known as Sahaj Yoga. This sacred story reveals the spiritual journey of a seeker. It often starts with the seeker having impure desires and ego. For example, in the very beginning, when Rati Devi advised Kamadeva that it was dangerous to even attempt to bind Lord Shiva with his arrow of love, Kamadeva was greatly offended. He reminded Rati Devi of his past victories, how he had mesmerized several ascetics, sages, and played tricks with even Indra and Lord Brahma, causing them to falter in their dharma. This shows that Kamadeva was full of arrogance and was using his powers without discretion. Because of this, he failed to see that challenging Lord Shiva was unwise, and as a result, he met his doom. His turning to ashes signifies the killing of one's own desires by a seeker, also known as sannyas or asceticism. One might feel that giving up all desires puts an end to all the sorrows, but in reality, this forced desirelessness leads to a much bigger problem. From the very ashes of these desires, a powerful ego arises, just as Bhandasur arose from the ashes of Kamdev. This ego makes the seeker extremely dry, ugly, devoid of joy, short-tempered, and without a desire to live. And that is why, when Bhandasur possessed every living being in the world, the dwellers of Swargalok lost their beauty, joy, and youth. In Patal-lok, people started to fight with each other, while on Bhulok, everybody started to starve to death. When the seeker realizes how colossal and dangerous his ego has become, he tries to subdue it, defeat it in several ways, using all his intellectual strength, just as Indra and the gods tried to defeat Bhandasur. But the seeker realizes that the ego is too powerful, and fighting with it only makes the ego even more stronger. Just like the gods realized that Bhandasur was too powerful, especially due to his boons of being invincible, immune to all kinds of weapons, and gaining half the strength of his enemy. Once the seeker realizes the truth that he cannot defeat his ego, he starts to seek a guru, an enlightened master who is beyond all the limitations of human beings. Just like all the gods seeked Mahashambhu, who resided outside the physical universe in a formless state. This guru gives self-realization to the seeker by awakening the Kundalini Shakti, which is a holy fire residing at the bottom of the spinal cord, bearing the capacity to completely purify the seeker, just as Mahashambhu performed the Mahayagya, a great sacrificial fire which purified the universe. Once the Kundalini Shakti rises to the Sahasrar Chakra of the seeker, similar to the flames of the sacrificial fire growing so tall that they reach the bounds of the universe, the seeker gets connected to Adi Shakti, the primordial mother, signifying the advent of Lalitamba in the universe. As a result, the seeker becomes full of joy, compassion, and beauty, just as Lalitamba recreated the universe which was more beautiful than before. The Kundalini Shakti then goes to war with ego and other evils within the seeker, just as Lalitamba went to war with Bhandasur and his commanders. She gradually weakens them, while awakening several deities, devis, and powers within the seeker, just as Lalitamba gradually defeated the armies of Bhandasur while manifesting devis like Nakuleshwari Devi and Tiraskarani Devi, deities like Mahaganesh, Durga Mata, and the 10 incarnations of Shri Vishnu, and several astras and shastras that empowered the Shakti armies. She ultimately kills the ego of the seeker, thus establishing complete self-realization, that is oneness with God. Just as Lalitamba destroyed Bhandasur, establishing peace and joy in the world. She finally resurrects desires within the seeker, just as Lalitamba resurrected Kamadeva. Now the desires are stronger, but pure and surrendered to Adi Shakti. Just as Kamadeva was more radiant than before but surrendered to Lalitamba. The seeker is no longer driven by ego. He has no sense of individuality and does only the work of God, and thus is beyond sin. And that is why later, when Kamadeva shot Lord Shiva with his arrow of love, Lord Shiva did not burn him. This is the power of self-realization, which makes the seeker humble but powerful beyond imagination. This is the very foundation upon which Adi Shankaracharya composed Saundarya Lahari. It is only after knowing this great epic of Lalitopakhyan that a devotee can truly grasp the beauty and depth of Saundarya Lahari, which clears all spiritual obstacles along the path of enlightenment. Listening to the Leelas and the glories of Lalitamba is like drinking nectar itself and is equivalent to receiving the darshan of Lalitamba. Jai Shri Lalitamba, Jai Shri Mataji.